Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. I have Stacey Greene here, and she is an author who enjoys speaking and writing about life experiences that stretch us and allow us to grow where we often are stagnant. As a 3-time Ironman finisher and ice skating instructor, she understands results often come from long, hard work and a few falls along the way. Along with writing from a Christian perspective, she appeals to all audiences with her stories and programs. So, Stacey, start by telling us a little bit about your faith journey.
Okay, I was raised by pretty much parents that were like Ward and June Cleaver, the epitome of perfection. Really set the bar high for me when I found my own husband. But raised in a Christian home, but did the typical kind of falling away from the faith between the ages of maybe 17 and 21, 22, 23. And met a really interesting man at a coffee shop. He and his wife brought me back to church, brought me back to Christ in 1985, and that was amazing. So I call myself, a saved Christian, and have raised my 3 children, and I'm still working on my husband.
So during that time of struggle for you, what, if you don't mind sharing, what were some of the struggles that you faced during that time?
Well, during that time, one of my 2 brothers had a motorcycle accident. I did actually lose both brothers, but in this first brother that passed away, I really questioned my faith. This was prior to 1985. This was 1981, and this is when I was going through that turbulent teen time, and I just didn't understand. And thankfully, my father, pretty brilliant at seeing that I wasn't recovering well from this at all. And we almost had this little verbal tennis match where he would say, "I think we need to talk about your brother's death." And I'd say, "No, I don't want to. It's stupid. Why would God, if there's a God, why would he take somebody who was only 26 and he was just about to get married? He wanted to get engaged." And my dad would say, "Yes, and isn't that nice that he didn't leave behind a wife and children?" I said, "Well, he just stopped smoking and started running. He was getting his health back." And yes, and isn't that great that he was an organ donor and he was able to probably save 6 to 7 other people's lives with all of the donations that he was able to give. And we had this conversation where I was just trying to say anything that would make sense to me, and my father just kept saying, "Hey, this stinks for me too, but we're going to look at the ultimate plan of why he was taken from this earth in such a bizarre way." And so I think he planted a lot of seeds in me that when 1985 rolled around and I met this gentleman and his wife that ended up bringing me back to church, I think that the seeds were planted by my dad. So by the time I had the loss of my second brother to a terminal illness, I did not question my faith. I was sad and went through all sorts of grief, but it was just, I was in a different place many years later.
Oh, wow. So I'm just wondering how does the message of hope that you carry and you share today relate to the viewers that may be watching?
Well, when I do my coaching, and I'm trying to create some courses at the moment, and when I'm doing my coaching and coursework, one of the things that I think is super important, whether you're dealing with grief or whether you're dealing with forgiveness, because I think those 2 subjects are first cousins, I always talk about, I'm not asking you to get over it. I'm asking you to get through it. And there's a big difference. Getting over it is the meanest thing someone can tell you. "Oh, get over it. It's been 20 years. Oh, get over it. It's been 30 years. Getting through it is completely different. And so that's the message, is that go ahead and grieve. Go ahead and grieve 20 years later. Go ahead and grieve 30 years later. For me, writing the book Letters to the Dead Men was because I realized I hadn't finished grieving, and I tried to just steamroll through the death of my father and my grandfather and my brother and my friend in high school and my other brother. I needed that time to just say, "You know what? I'm going to grieve now. 20, 30 years later, that's fine. There's no right or wrong way to grieve."
And mentioning the letters to the dead men, I'm just wondering if you want to share a little bit of how it coincides with my book, Treasure Kingdom.
Well, I loved being a reader for Treasure Kingdom, because as soon within the first chapter, you realize, oh, there's a death of a brother and an unexpected death of a young man, and it brought back some little Kleenex moments for me, and even knowing that it was fiction, it was written so well, and you just you were right there. And honestly, I related a little bit to Sonora there, because she was bitter and angry, just like I was bitter and angry, and really needed to find her place in this world and find how this all happened. And Sonora had another brother, and I had another brother. So the journey that the two of them took, could be kind of similar to the journey that my brother and I took when we realized, wow, we're missing one of our siblings. I also liked, because I'm not going to give it away because I want everyone to buy your book. I also liked how there were some little twists towards the end that I didn't expect. So it's a great read.
Well, thank you. And also, I was wondering if you wanted to share a little bit of how people can connect with you and maybe learn a little bit more about your story and the letters to the dead men as well.
Absolutely. So my website is staceygreenecoaching.com, and I use all those E's. So Stacey, P-A-C-E-Y, Green is G-R-E-E-N-E, and it's staceygreenecoaching.com, and there should be plenty of information there I won't bore you with now. I also have another book called Stronger Than Broken, and that was a book about recovering from infidelity. So
wow.
That's why I say that forgiveness and grief are first cousins, because they very much relate. And I'm sorry, my cat is trying to get in as well.
That's okay. We threw my dogs outside, so. Well, thank you very much for sharing with us, Stacey. And it's been a blessing to get to know you and get to talk with you and share some of this about your journey of hope and courage and comforting from moments of grief as well. And I recommend Letters to the Dead End to anybody. And just as a build up to the launch party, we're just wondering, is there anything that you want to offer as a door prize for those who attend?
Yes, I am going to go ahead and send some signed copies of Letters to the Dead Men over to you so that you can pass those out. And, hopefully I'll think of something else, but if not, I'll send some copies over to you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. And that ties up everything that we were going to talk about. And yeah, I hope that you are able to tune in with this live stream on the day of the event as well.
Absolutely. It's on my day planner. I won't miss it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was.